Michael Snyder, prolific writer, researcher, economiccollapseblog.com, joins us to get into the state of the world, the election, where he sees it all going. First off, Mr. Snyder, great to have you here with us today. Looking at the full spectrum, do you think Trump's a dead heat, behind, or ahead?
Well, I think it's an open question, Alex, because right now what we've got these widely divergent polls. Or, for example, right now we've got some polls actually showing the race tied or Trump slightly ahead in the last few days, as high as Trump ahead 2 percentage points nationally. But then we've got these other polls, like this ABC News Washington Post survey, which had Hillary Clinton up by 12 points. So, we've got these widely divergent polls this close to the election. This shouldn't be the case. But now when you look closer at the ABC News Washington Post poll, they oversampled Democrats. And what they did, they had 9 percentage points more Democrats than Republicans in the survey. They did that purposely. They described that in their methodology. And now there's a couple reasons why they might want to do that. One would be to suppress the Trump vote. If the Trump supporters think, oh, Trump's going to lose, there's no point, less Trump supporters may actually go to the polls. The other potential reason, and more insidious reason, is to set a precedent. And so if the actual results which come out, which may or may not be legitimate, but if they show Hillary Clinton winning by a significant margin, well, they could say, well, the polls leading up to Election Day showed that, so the precedent was set.
Sure, it sets the precedent for them to steal the election and suppress the vote, and which we have the Podesta emails from a year ago saying, this is how we're going to do it. We're going to go out and oversample for Hillary.
Yeah, absolutely. And so there's a lot of concern. But even more importantly, what people need to look at rather than the national polls are the state polls, because Donald Trump could win the popular vote by 5 million votes even and still lose the election. So right now, the key is to look at the individual states. And unfortunately for Trump, the electoral map is kind of rigged for the Democrats at this point. They kind of have a built-in advantage, if you will, even if the votes are counted legitimately. And so there's certain things that Trump needs to do in order to win the election. The first step that what Trump needs to do is he's got to carry all the states that Mitt Romney won in 2012. Now, there's a couple states where that might be an issue. One is North Carolina, where a lot of the recent polls had showed Hillary Clinton with a slight lead. Now, a poll just came out that showed Trump with a lead in North Carolina, so he seems to have some momentum there. Now, also, people want to keep an eye on Arizona, which is usually reliably red, but a couple polls recently have shown potentially Hillary Clinton doing well. In fact, one poll had her up by 5 points in Arizona. But let's assume for a second that Trump can do that. He can win all the states that Romney won in 2012. Well, that only gets him to 206 electoral votes. He needs 270. So to get to 270, Donald Trump, first of all, he's got to win Florida. That's absolutely key. If Florida's 29 electoral votes, without those 29 electoral votes, it's going to be really hard to make them up anywhere else. Hillary Clinton had been leading in most recent polls. Now today, headline on Drudge Report, Trump has taken the lead in Florida, so he seems to have some momentum there. Trump is also leading in Ohio, which is absolutely key for this election. Got to have. In fact, no Republican has ever won the presidency without winning Ohio. So people want to keep an eye on that swing state too. Then Trump has also got to win Iowa, 6 electoral votes there. Trump's been doing well there, been leading in most of the polls, so that's good news. And then Nevada. Nevada, unfortunately, that appears to be a real trouble spot for Trump. Hillary Clinton's been winning in all the recent polls, so Trump really needs to make up some ground in Nevada. Now, if Trump wins all those 4 states, he still needs one more medium-sized state. And we're talking about potentially Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, or Michigan. Now, Clinton is leading in all of those states, so maybe Trump seems to have some momentum in Pennsylvania. So that's a key to keep an eye on. But there's one more wrinkle to keep an eye on, because if Trump does all those things and wins all those states, Utah could still push him back below 270.
And they've got an admitted CIA covert operations officer, that's the really nasty ones, actually trying to get all the conservatives to vote for him and not Trump, and admits he's trying to hand it to Hillary. Talk about despicable. Let's talk about it with a very informed Michael Snyder of the economiccollapseblog.com straight ahead. We'll also get into the smoking gun, Obama covering up his emails to Hillary. Well, I've got some bittersweet news here. They came raining in during the last break and said, Alex, you got to stop. We sold out last night of the Hillary for President shirts, 2016. They're gone. So I told you we're not printing any more of those. They're gone. We have the other Lock Her Up limited edition, made in America, with the Gadsden flag snake going after Hillary. When that's gone, it's gone. When the limited edition red shirt, Trump is my president, when that's gone, it's gone. So we're on election day and thereafter. So thank you for your support. The shirts are available at InfoWarsStore.com. We're running a special that previously I ran once a year. We started running it 2 or 3 times a year. Now I'm running it, I guess, for the 4th time this year, 30 to 40% off. Bare minimum, 30%, as high as 40% off the already highest quality storable foods at InfoWarsStore.com. My Patriot Supply, private labeled as InfoWars Select. Their full catalog, we sell it right next to their full catalog that's already a great deal. We do this just to dominate, quite frankly, the market and hope that enough people order it that even though we make small profits on each sale, overall it helps fund our operation. It's a free market idea. It's been successful. No one's got food of this quality at this price. This is the lowest you will find, period, and it makes the broadcast possible. InfoWarsStore.com. InfoWarsSelect.com will take you right to the subpage to find the discounted, high-quality, freshly produced, right here in America, in Utah food. InfoWarsStore.com. InfoWarsLife.com. You will find 25% off. We're still running until it sells out. More's coming in 2 weeks, and that is Brain Force, our great nootropic. We have the Biome Defense probiotic that is the very best out there. We've done so much research. We've got the great sleep aid Knockout that's such a great bestseller, $19.95. We've got so many other great products like Super Male Vitality, Survival Shield X2, DNA Force, Secret 12, Lung Cleanse. We've got the BioTruth Selenium that is just so key. I mean, selenium deficiencies are just massive. The Vitamin Mineral Fruit Punch Fusion, Deep Cleanse, the Liver Cleanse, the Joint Formula, and Bone Formula that is getting great reviews. I kind of gave it a boring name. It really is amazing, and we're going to rename that soon just because it's not a great seller, and people that do get it go, oh, my God, this is really excellent. Wow, formulas like this usually cost 3 times more. Yeah, we go out and give you the very best. That, by the way, is private labeled for one of the biggest organic companies in the nation. A lot of our stuff is original and developed with scientists and others we work with big labs, but a lot of it is also just best-selling private label stuff that we then discount. That's how we're able to do it. So InfoWarsLife.com. Rolls-Royce, Bentley, Mercedes quality at a Ford LTD or Ford Escort price. InfoWarsLife.com. And your purchase funds what we're doing here and makes it all possible. So thank you for your support. Now, I've got a lot I want to get into, but speaking of DrudgeReport.com, front and center, Trump, Hillary will start World War III. And then it's got him being recorded by the news. I guess it was Reuters. And it's just audio. I played it last hour. I'm going to play it again here in a moment so that Mr. Snyder can comment on it. Because when you look at it all, it really is Hillary and the globalists and the neocons that want to start this war. They really are the problem. Trump is who the whole world, and even top professors, conservative and liberal, are saying wants detente. You just can't start a war with Russia like you can Iraq, folks. U.S. Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump said on Tuesday that Democrat Hillary Clinton's plan for Syria would lead to World War III because she wants a no-fly zone, which means attacking Russian jets, because of the potential for conflict with military forces with nuclear-armed Russia. In an interview focused largely on foreign policy, Trump said defeating Islamic State is a higher priority than persuading Syrian President Bashar Assad to step down, playing down a long-held goal of U.S. policy. You mean globalist policy. Trump questioned how Clinton would negotiate with Russia's Vladimir Putin after demonizing him and blamed President Obama for a downturn in U.S. relations with the Philippines under its new president. And it goes on. In addition, Trump bemoaned a lack of Republican unity behind his candidacy and said that he would easily win the election if the party leaders would support him. Yeah, they say he's bitching at him. He's raised them more money than ever from small donors, and they won't even give it to him. 0 TV ads. They're supposed to get half, he gets half. They're undermining him. They work with the Democrats. They're just as bad. That's why I didn't get heavily involved in other elections. I'm all in here because it's so obvious that the entire global power structure is after him. Now I'm going to play the clip. But first, I want to ask Mr. Snyder, does he agree with me, and please, if he disagrees, let me know, that Trump's already won even if they steal it? But if they do steal it, we've obviously got to fight back. This has happened before. Roger Stone's heavily involved. But regardless, I'm not setting people up for fail. I believe he's going to win. But even if they steal it, globalism, the New World Order, these big mega combines being above the law, tax exempt, political correctness, WikiLeaks, all of it has come to a head through Trump and through nationalist movements, Brexit, Russia pulling out of the globalist system, all 25 EU countries moving with referendums to leave, the globalists hitting the panic button in all their major publications, sending up the bat signal saying, world government's in trouble, we're screwed, they know we robbed them. And when you read real elite publications, they are abandoning ship, a lot of them. And I know Mr. Schneider writes about this heavily, the elites moving in armored redoubts, fleeing, getting out of the stock market. Let's talk big picture, destabilization, nuclear war. But first, do you think that Trump has already won?
Well, I do, but I think this is one of the most incredible moments in modern American history where we've seen the masks are coming off, the globalists are being exposed, and Donald Trump, what he's done already is a miracle. And if he actually won the election, I believe it would be the biggest miracle in all of U.S. Political history.
I agree.
Overcoming civil war in his own party, the mainstream media, they're not even pretending to be objective anymore. The biggest assault that any candidate has ever undergone by far, has been at Donald Trump.
Is he not the ultimate David versus Goliath?
It absolutely is. We've never seen anything like it. However, if we go through all this and then we let them steal the election, it'll be all for naught. And so we've got to be very careful because you guys have done a great job the last few days of exposing the vote switching that is going on in Texas. And I warned about this several weeks ago because they appeared to have done the same thing back in 2012. If you go back to 2012, Fox News, one quote that I had on my website was a woman in Ohio, key swing state, in 2012, where she said, hey, I went in and I tried to press Romney and it switched it to Obama. And she said she did it 3 times.
And it was all coming out of Ohio, hundreds and hundreds of credible reports. It wasn't other states. They pick a state, and they've been bragging, watch, we're going to get Texas. Watch, we're going to get it. It's called Battleground Texas. They keep smiling and giggling and lurking. Maybe they're tipping their hand that the big dark horse upset is a theft of Texas.
Yeah, and if Texas goes blue on election night, that's a major red flag, and that might set off revolution in America because that'll be clear evidence that the election has been stolen. But if you go back to 2012, Romney threw in the towel halfway through election night, and that's what the elite want. They want Trump to throw in the towel very, very early. When Romney threw in the towel, no one bothered to look at the numbers, but I went back and I looked at Cuyahoga County, and you can still go look at the numbers today because they're still up on the internet. In Cuyahoga County, Ohio, in 2012, there were 16 precincts in that one county alone where Mitt Romney got 0 votes. Barack Obama got 100% of the vote. And overall, there were 100 precincts in Cuyahoga County, in just that one county, where Barack Obama got 99% of the vote.
Impossible. In fact, we're putting the article on screen. They clearly stole it in Ohio.
Yeah, but it just wasn't in Ohio. If you go out to Pennsylvania, and Mitt Romney actually won 55 out of the 67 counties in Pennsylvania last election. But in the city of Philadelphia, there were 59 voting divisions where Barack Obama got 100% of the vote. The combined vote total in those 59 voting divisions was 19,605 for Barack Obama, 0 votes for Mitt Romney. The odds of that happening by random chance are so low, they're not even worth mentioning. Or you go down to Broward County, Florida, last election in 2012. There were a whole bunch of precincts down there, key precincts where Barack Obama...
Sure, and this is just in from Adon Salazar. The voting machines in South Texas and in East Texas are shutting off everywhere. They're flipping votes. Even election officials saying something's happening. They're going to emergency paper ballots as we speak. Just now breaking. Texas County switches to paper ballots after electronic voting glitches. Problems with election software spring up in East Texas. County in Texas is switching to emergency paper ballots. It's also happening in areas of South Texas on the news this morning after electronic voting machines in the region suffered technical glitches, which they've confirmed mean power outages, going off, and flipping votes to Hillary. So it looks like it's not the Ruskies, but Hillary behind this. We've got the letterhead. Again, so many of these reports are coming out. I can't even keep track of them. And notice it's Texas, and we have Obama. When I brought up election fraud and Trump brought it up 2 months ago, Obama made this weird statement about, now that's down in Texas. Why? We don't count the votes down there. It's weird he says in Texas. Was that a tell? Because they've chosen their state again. Florida in 2000, Ohio 2012. Let's play Obama.
Of course the elections will not be rigged. What does that mean? The federal government doesn't run the election process. States and cities and communities all across the country, they're the ones who set up the voting systems and the voting booths. And if Mr. Trump is suggesting that there is a conspiracy theory that is being propagated across the country, including in places like Texas, where typically it's not Democrats who are in charge of voting booths. That's ridiculous. That doesn't make any sense.
Meanwhile,
I don't think anybody
you
would
can
take that
Google
seriously.
Democrats pledge to take Texas from Trump. Battleground Texas is the name of the group, and they keep licking their lips saying, you watch, you watch. Is this the classical criminal tell? We're going to find out, aren't we, in 12 days, Michael?
Oh, we absolutely are. I would have never dreamed they would have tried to steal Texas. And, you know, we're talking 38 electoral votes. There's no way that Trump would be able to make 38 electoral votes up everywhere else on the map. But, you know, but also we need to watch for potentially dead people voting. You go out to Colorado.
Oh, that's now confirmed. Oh, exactly. We were all kooks. There's 21 million people that shouldn't be on the rolls. 4 million are dead. Now, magically, all over the country, including Colorado, confirming CBS News that it is happening. So clearly, it's happening.
It definitely is. And in Colorado, they found that it's been going on for over a decade, where some dead people have been voting election after election, and nothing has been done about it. But in Colorado in 2012, somehow there were 10 counties in Colorado in the last election that had voting registration rates over 100%. Now, that theoretically, that's impossible, because if you registered everyone, you would have a rate of 100%, but somehow they had voter registration.
Sure, and the national average is 55% tend to vote, even in general elections, 30-some% in others. So that's ridiculous to say over 100%. We know there's massive fraud.
Yeah, and this is one of the reasons we need people at the polls, watching the polls. For example, in Virginia, another key swing state last election, a poll watcher told WMAL News that she watched as the Obama voters were being bussed in, but not only that, she watched the exact same voters being brought in over and over and over again to the exact same polling station throughout the day. The same voters kept coming back.
And we have three Veritas videos of the top Democratic officials, their underlings, and the head of elections in New York admitting that they're voting, they're defrauding it, and no one can do anything to stop them.
Yeah, that's why it's so key, because the Trump campaign can't be everywhere. InfoWars can't be everywhere. We need people to go out. If they see something, if they hear something at the polls, something strange.
Scream bloody murder.
They've got to report it. They've got to tell us. They've got to tell InfoWars. They've got to tell me. They've got to tell whoever they can. Because if it looks
they've got to call the local police.
Yeah, tell the police, whoever you can, report it as many places as you can, because we can't let them steal this election. If it looks like it's being stolen, we've got to scream bloody murder. We cannot let them get
Well, that's my next question, Michael Snyder. Clearly, we're steaming towards a very close election just because of the fraud. Trump's got a major edge from my research, but because of the Electoral College, you're right, it's still dicey. Hillary's going to go to prison. Their only hope is to get her in to cover for Obama and everybody else to fail forward. So they have nothing to lose. They're going to try to steal this sucker. And so what do we do if they do steal it? I mean, the American people are not going to stand by. Or if Trump wins such a landslide, they've already got Black Lives Matter and all the communist groups activated. They're already attacking Trump sites all over the country and firebombing things. What do we do then if they start burning stuff down? This is insane.
Well, that's the big fear, that whatever happens, we could see civil unrest, we could see rioting, we could see violence. If Trump wins, I mean, there was a headline on Drudge Report today about anti-Trump violence all over the country. His star on the Walk of Fame was smashed to oblivion. That was reported by
Democrats are organizing an attack on his new hotel in D.C.?
Yeah, so we're already seeing anti-Trump violence all over the nation. And if he wins, it's just going to go absolutely viral. All over the country, we're going to see tremendous violence. But on the other hand, if Hillary Clinton wins and it looks like it was stolen, that could set up violence, because I think that will be the point where good patriotic Americans have said enough is enough. We're tired of criminal Hillary Clinton. We're tired of the criminality. We're tired
Exactly, and we're tired of Soros owning the voting machines in 16% of the country, predominantly battleground states.
Yeah, but you know what? Donald Trump, when he said, hey, I'm just automatically going to accept the results of the election, there's wisdom in that. And if there's one thing we know about Donald Trump, is that he's not afraid to file lawsuits. And so if it looks like it's stolen, we need to make a huge deal of this, alert the Trump campaign, and so that lawsuits can be filed, so this can be challenged in court, because we might, hopefully if it looks like funny business has happened, well, we've got the stretch from November 8th to January 20th for legal challenges to be filed, because once Hillary Clinton is inaugurated, it's going to be very, very difficult.
Okay, we have to discredit her day one because of all of her criminal activity. Now, Michael Schneider, we're about to go to break, but when we come back, we'll talk about the nuke situation that I mentioned and play that clip of Trump. But first, how can they survive WikiLeaks that did deliver? They should all be indicted for this. It proves they're involved in criminality, in cover-ups, and taking money from foreign powers. Project Veritas has got breaking news with us next hour along those lines. We're going to break that here in about an hour, or actually about 40 minutes from now. How do they survive this? Even if they steal it, how do they get away with this?
Well, how they get away with it is because the mainstream media is in their pocket. The mainstream media won't run with this. The mainstream media won't report it to the general population. And so the mainstream media is the key. And that's Hillary's biggest asset, is the mainstream media, which is just totally gone in the tank for Hillary Clinton this election. And that's why the alternative media, what you're doing, what I'm doing, is so important that we get the truth out there.
Sure. Do you think it's fair to say, though, what's left of MSM has been destroyed? I mean, they've killed themselves politically with this last open, naked, Decepticon move.
Oh, without a doubt, their credibility is destroyed. But this is a debating technique. If you watched all three debates, whenever whenever Bill Clinton came up and his sex crime,
she didn't respond.
Hillary Clinton purposely ignored it, didn't address it, not a single word about it. And when Donald Trump brought up the fact that she paid people to commit violence at his rallies, she didn't address it with a single word. Same thing with the mainstream media. If they don't acknowledge it, if they don't say anything about it, then it doesn't become an issue. And
the politicos tell Trump, stop responding. And I get he should stay on message, but he's so truthful. They tell him, don't respond. He goes, no, I didn't do that to those women. I'm responding. No, I didn't do this. I'm responding. And it's really kind of refreshing, the fact that he doesn't play political games. I mean, I just don't know if we deserve Donald Trump, folks. I mean, I've got to tell you, I really think it's up to people's hearts and minds to be free of this. And all the sad little Democrats out there that think that Hillary's their mommy, I feel sorry for them. By the way, I haven't been taking a lot of calls so far this week. I've taken some, but the next few days I do intend to leave large portions of the broadcast open to calls to get your take on what you're seeing, what you're witnessing in early voting, where you think this is all going. But this is such an over-the-top situation we're all in that I can hardly handle the suspense. I mean, geopolitically, economically, what's happening domestically, the incredible crimes of Obama and the Clintons, and all caught red-handed, and to see the immorality of the press lockstep. I mean, if Republicans were doing this stuff, I'd be after them just as much. They're just as bad. That they hate Trump, too. The immorality, and people on the street saying, I don't care if she does criminal stuff because it's towards a good aim. Ooh, boy, when you start hearing talk like that, man, you're talking a country in deep doo-doo. And it's mainly, I'm not picking women out, but it's liberal women. She's a mother. She cares. I don't care if she does bad. Like in that Owen Schroyer report we played the first of the hour. She's getting stuff done. Good stuff. Oh, like Obamacare. And then in the emails, she says it's meant to screw you over so that they have a totally bankrupt system and bring something in even worse. I mean, to watch people that are chumps, and Hillary admits they're chumps. She hates common people. Trump loves prosperity, cares about common people, a lot of people that know him well. You know what? Maybe we don't deserve it, folks. Because those of us that are smart will be okay no matter what, unless there's a nuclear war. But these liberal dumbasses, they're so stupid. They're so evil. They're so knuckle-dragging. Michael Schneider is our guest. I want to play this clip as I mentioned it. Here's another article, Infowars.com, Clifford Cunningham. Norway to host U.S. Marines on Russian border. U.S. conducting drills near Russia. Massive troop builds up. Poland, you name it. Eastern Europe to Northern Europe. We've got this big headline up on Infowars.com. As globalists push war, Russia unveils defensive nuke that can destroy Texas-sized area. I mentioned that earlier. You heard me right. 14, 40 megaton warheads in each reentry device. That's the type of stuff that's going on. Russia puzzled by Norway's decision to host U.S. Marines in violation of decades-old commitment. I mean, it's off the races. Open talk of nuclear war, toe-to-toe with the Ruskies. Nuclear warfare, toe-to-toe with the Ruskies. Right out of Dr. Strangelove. But this time they're trying to promote Christian values. I guess that's why they finally got to be destroyed, right? Here is Donald Trump recorded by Reuters at a dinner, I guess, last night, just talking candidly. Here it is.
Well, she has no plan for Syria, and look, with her, you'll end up in World War III. She doesn't know what she's doing, just like with Libya, just like with everything else she's done. So Syria now is no longer Syria. Syria is Russia and the new Iran that we built through the Iran deal, which is one of the worst negotiated deals I've ever seen. What we should do is focus on ISIS. We should not be focusing on Syria.
Well,
You'll end up with her plan. You'll end up in World War III with Syria. You're gonna end up, Steve. You're gonna end up in World War III over Syria if we listen to Hillary Clinton. She's incompetent.
And by the way, that's not fear-mongering. That's what almost all analysts worldwide, liberal conservatives, say, that Trump's who you need for peace. Even the betting and the stock markets want Trump. But no, we've got to have this crazy warmonger lady. Michael, we're going to break. We'll do 5 more minutes with you. I appreciate your time. Economic Collapse blog. What do you add to that?
Oh, I totally agree. Over in Russia, they're covering our election, but the #1 story right now is World War III. The Russians are scared to death, and they don't like Obama. In fact, a recent survey was taken over in Russia as far as the approval rating of U.S. leadership in Russia, and it came back at a 1% approval rating for current U.S. leadership, i.e. the Obama administration. And the Russians believe that Clinton is even worse than Obama. So they're scared to death of Hillary Clinton. Russian politicians such as Vladimir Zhirinovsky, he told Reuters that if Hillary Clinton is elected, we're likely to have World War III. So they very much want Trump. And if you watch the debates, Hillary Clinton, in all 3 debates, you could just feel her animosity for Russia.
Oh, that's right. Stay there. But let's go further. Let's go further when we come back in 70 seconds. Our media then covers it up and says he's the one that's going to cause war, inverting reality. We'll be back in 70 seconds. Project Veritas is coming on. Roger Stone and more, but 5 more minutes with Michael Snyder. I'm Alex Jones. Look, it was exciting to be on radio 21 years ago. But I would go to the library to get, a 1970-something article with David Rockefeller saying how great Mao Zedong was and how great world government would be to prove to people they wanted world government. Now it's just open world government. The family's bad. We're going to have war. Who cares if nuclear reactors leak? There seems to be an insanity in our elite. Michael Snyder, in the time we've got, I really appreciate your time as an investigative reporter and the great articles that you allow us to post at Infowars.com, from the economiccollapseblog.com and your other sites. But I tell you, the news is almost making us passé. We could historically see the threat out there ways. I'm not pleased that we've been proven right. This really sucks.
Yeah, and what's so alarming is that we could be potentially headed toward World War III if we don't get Donald Trump into the White House. Because, for example, Joe Biden recently came out on Meet the Press, openly threatened the Russians. NBC News published an article talking about how the CIA is planning a covert, unprecedented covert operation, cyber attack against Russia. First of all, if you're going to conduct this covert operation, you don't publish it on NBC News. But you know what? Do we really want to invite a cyber war with the Russians? Do we want to invite the Russians?
And now it's come out that last week's outage was out of the United States, was probably a false flag, was not from the Russians. I have it right here. The Hill, top spy, Friday internet outage, likely not caused by foreign power.
Yeah, if the Russians wanted to do damage to us, they could really do some damage. Do we really want the Russians to hack our power grid? Do we really want the Russians to hack our financial system? If the Russians wanted to, I believe they could take down our entire internet, which would crash our economy.
Clearly, they're trying to stir the Russians up into a move. I think the Russians aren't going to make the move. So then, I believe that there may be a big false flag against Russia.
Well, one thing that could get the Russians shooting, and Reuters reported that Barack Obama has gotten together with his top foreign policy advisors, and they're discussing direct military strikes on Syrian military positions, on Syrian government forces.
And Clapper is selling it that we're going to fly in and bomb Russian bases, basically, and that if they respond, it's an act of war. We're going to bomb you, and if you fire back, you started the war.
Yeah, and if we start hitting Syrian forces and Russian forces are mixed in, the Russians have already said, hey, that's a red line. We're going to start firing back. They've got their S-300s there, their S-400s, and they can shoot down our aircraft. And so if U.S. aircraft start falling out of the sky over Syria, and that's all over the news, that could set off a spiral of events from which there may be no coming back from. And so, but we don't want a war with Russia, because Russia has been preparing for World War III for a very long time. They've been updating and modernizing their weapons. We've just seen news this week about the new Sarmat intercontinental ballistic missile, which Russia's come out with. It's so fast and so elusive, we don't have anything that can shoot
From a
it down.
Satan II.
Yeah, and one missile goes up, 15 independently targetable warheads come down, and can basically, those 15 warheads can destroy an area the size of Texas, and we have no countermeasures to that. Meanwhile, we still got the Minutemen missiles from the 1960s and 1970s. The Obama administration says, hey, we'll keep them in service until 2030. And 60 Minutes has gone into our nuclear silos, and they're still using rotary phones. They're still using the kind of 8-inch floppy disks that you can actually flop around in your hand. And if we send our missiles back, the new S-500 system that Russia's developed, once they get that fully deployed all over the country, they'll be able to pretty much intercept anything that we send at them before it even gets to Russia. So Russia now actually has nuclear superiority over the United States.
At least with what's not classified. Believe me, the United States has incredible cruise missile-based submarine and jet launch systems and miniaturized weapons all over. The thing is, it's a suicide mission to have a nuclear war. We do not want to have it, period. No one wins. The only way to win is not to play.
Yeah, and so what the globalists are doing, what the elite are doing, is insane, because we do not want to pick a fight with Russia. And the Russians fight dirty. They don't give up. They don't forgive. And right now, all over Russian television, they just...
But listen to you. How dare you be a warophobe? Why are you being so racist against nuclear war? I got to apologize for Michael Snyder. He's a horrible person just like me. Michael, great job. God bless you. Keep up the good work. We're less than 12 days out now. Boy, I tell you, please join us again. By the way, we're going to have 48 hours of live coverage during the election. Election day, right through the next day.
Insidious reason is to set a precedent. And so if the actual results which come out, which may or may not be legitimate, but if they show Hillary Clinton winning by a significant margin, well, they could say, well, the polls leading up to Election Day showed that, so the precedent was set.
Sure, it sets the precedent for them to steal the election and suppress the vote, and which we have the Podesta emails from a year ago saying, this is how we're going to do it. We're going to go out and oversample for Hillary.
Yeah, absolutely. And so there's a lot of concern, but even more importantly, what people need to look at rather than the national polls are the state polls, because Donald Trump could win the popular vote by 5 million votes even and still lose the election. So right now, the key is to look at the individual states. And unfortunately for Trump, the electoral map is kind of rigged for the Democrats at this point. They kind of have a built-in advantage, if you will, even if the votes are counted legitimately. And so there's certain things that Trump needs to do in order to win the election. The first step that what Trump needs to do is he's got to carry all the states that Mitt Romney won in 2012. Now, there's a couple states where that might be an issue. One is North Carolina, where a lot of Nevada, unfortunately, that appears to be a real trouble spot for Trump. Hillary Clinton's been winning in all the recent polls, so Trump really needs to make up some ground in Nevada. Now, if Trump wins all those 4 states, he still needs one more medium-sized state, and we're talking about potentially Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, or Michigan. Now, Clinton is leading in all of those states, so maybe Trump seems to have some momentum in Pennsylvania, so that's a key to keep an eye on. But there's one more wrinkle to keep an eye on, because if Trump does all those things and wins all those states, Utah could still push him back below 270.
And they've got an admitted CIA covert operations officer, that's the really nasty ones, actually trying to get all the conservatives to vote for him and not Trump, and admits he's trying to hand it to Hillary. Talk about despicable. Let's talk about it with a very informed Michael Snyder of the economiccollapseblog.com straight ahead. We'll also get into the smoking gun, Obama covering up his emails to Hillary. Well, I've got some bittersweet news here. They came raining in during the last break and said, Alex, you got to stop. We sold out last night of the Hillary for President shirts, 2016. Michael Snyder, prolific writer, researcher, economiccollapseblog.com, joins us to get into the state of the world, the election, where he sees it all going. First off, Mr. Snyder, great to have you here with us today. Looking at the full spectrum, do you think Trump's a dead heat, behind, or ahead?
Well, I think it's an open question, Alex, because right now what we've got these widely divergent polls. Or, for example, right now we've got some polls actually showing the race tied or Trump slightly ahead in the last few days, as high as Trump ahead 2 percentage points nationally. But then we've got these other polls like this ABC News Washington Post survey, which had Hillary Clinton up by 12 points. So, we've got these widely divergent polls this close to the election. This shouldn't be the case. But now when you look closer at the ABC News Washington Post poll, they oversampled Democrats. And what they did, they had 9 percentage points more Democrats than Republicans in the survey. They did that purposely. They described that in their methodology. And now there's a couple reasons why they might want to do that. One would be to suppress the Trump vote. If the Trump supporters think, oh, Trump's going to lose, there's no point, less Trump supporters may actually go to the polls. The other potential reason, and more recent polls had showed Hillary Clinton with a slight lead. Now a poll just came out that showed Trump with a lead in North Carolina, so he seems to have some momentum there. Now also people want to keep an eye on Arizona, which is usually reliably red, but a couple polls recently have shown potentially Hillary Clinton doing well. In fact, one poll had her up by 5 points in Arizona. But let's assume for a second that Trump can do that. He can win all the states that Romney won in 2012. Well, that only gets him to 206 electoral votes. He needs 270. So to get to 270, Donald Trump, first of all, he's got to win Florida. That's absolutely key. If Florida's 29 electoral votes, without those 29 electoral votes, it's going to be really hard to make them up anywhere else. Hillary Clinton had been leading in most recent polls. Now today, headline on Drudge Report, Trump has taken the lead in Florida, so he seems to have some momentum there. Trump is also leading in Ohio, which is absolutely key for this election. Got to have. In fact, no Republican has ever won the presidency without winning Ohio. So people want to keep an eye on that swing state too. Then Trump has also got to win Iowa, 6 electoral votes there. Trump's been doing well there, been leading most of the polls, so that's good news. And then
they're gone. So I told you we're not printing any more of those. They're gone. We have the other Lock Her Up limited edition, made in America, with the Gadsden flag snake going after Hillary. When that's gone, it's gone. When the limited edition red shirt, Trump is my president, when that's gone, it's gone to wear on election day and thereafter. So thank you for your support. The shirts are available at InfoWarsStore.com. We're running a special that previously I ran once a year. We started running it 2 or 3 times a year. Now I'm running it, I guess, for the 4th time this year. 30 to 40% off. Bare minimum, 30%. As high as 40% off the already highest quality storable foods at InfoWarsStore.com. My Patriot Supply, private labeled as InfoWars Select. Their full catalog. We sell it right next to their full catalog that's already a great deal. We do this just to dominate, quite frankly, the market and hope that enough people order it that even though we make small profits on each sale, overall it helps fund our operation. It's a free market idea. It's been successful. No one's got food of this quality at this price. This is the lowest you will find, period. And it makes the broadcast possible. InfoWarsStore.com. InfoWarsSelect.com will take you right